Great. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Land Use and Ethics Subcommittee. We have a quick agenda today. We're going to be reviewing HB 927. There are a number of amendments, and we just sent them around to you today. So I had a couple of requests that we hold this for a week and review all the amendments and then vote on it next week, which we will do. And then HB 1059, I don't believe there are any amendments on HB 1059. We are ready to move forward on that, I believe. So let's start with HB 927. There are a few sponsor amendments, and this is the bill that discusses the disposition of state property. That we are having ongoing conversations about how to increase the stock of affordable housing in the state of Maryland. And this is a bill that, says we should, that Delegate Polakovich-Carr has brought forward about that. She had a couple amendments, and then there are a couple of amendments that we were working on as well, or I was working with Matt on. Matt, do you want to, Delegate Love, do you have a question about the bill before amendments, or do you want to hear the amendments first?
It doesn't matter either way because the amendments don't touch it. Okay. There's a piece in there that talked about, I don't have the language in front of me, making sure it's not parkland or environmentally sensitive land, but I just want to make sure what type of property that we're talking about. And, NASA has these 400 acres that, they don't want anymore. And we want to make sure that's preserved so that we're not, when we're addressing this type of land, we're not taking land that could otherwise be preserved.
Okay, I think that's similar to some of the other, if it's okay, can we just talk through the amendments and then we'll get back to that point and other discussion points around.
Thanks.
The bill. Great. Matt, do you want to walk us through the amendments? Maybe first Julie's or the sponsors and then ours?
Sure. So actually, the amendment document you received earlier had the sponsors amendments included in it as well. Those are amendment number 2 and a portion of amendment number 3, I believe. I moved things around. The first amendment's just technical, making changes to the function paragraphs of the bill. The second amendment would alter the definition of affordable housing, and this is one of the sponsors' amendments, alter the definition of affordable housing and authorize the sale of housing to a nonprofit. Currently, the proposals would only allow for donation, so this expands the means that they could use to dispose of the property to a nonprofit. The third amendment clarifies the factors on page 3, lines 1 through 5, that are these are minimum conditions the property must meet to be deemed suitable for affordable housing, designation as affordable housing. And just briefly, Delegate Love, to your point, that would be the provisions in lines 4 and 5 that the property does not belong in a category of property listed in section 5-310C1I of the State Finance and Procurement article. Amendment number 4 would require the evaluation of the properties to be continuous rather than established as a list. So under the current bill, the Department of Planning would have to generate a list of properties deemed excess and that weren't distributed to preferred groups like the federal government or local governments, and then transmit that list to the Department of Housing and Community Development for the analysis to begin. And then annually, a list of these suitable properties would be developed. The amendment would just allow this process to continue as a property becomes available as it's deemed excess by the unit.
Madam Chair.
Yep.
Are we going to go back through these slowly? It would be helpful if we could go through one by one and ask questions, because I guess I'm having trouble keeping up with what we're talking about.
I think he is trying to go through them one by one. So if you have a question about one of them that he's talking about, certainly we can stop. Matt, do you want to pause for a second?
Sure.
Did you want to check?
So just the first one, what was the change to the definition of affordable housing?
I'll share my screen and I can show the reprint.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I also have the reprint, but that'd be helpful too.
Okay. Should I be able to see the reprint now? So The definition in the bill would have a restriction that that it'd be rented to the public at a rate that allows a household of low or moderate income in the state to not pay more than 30% of its monthly income in rent. I apologize. The bill as amended would mirror the language used for a sale of the house, a sale of the property, a sale to the public of the affordable housing to low or moderate income individuals in the state.
See, it just makes one match two.
Yeah.
See how in 2 it just says sold to the public at a price that's affordable to a household of low or moderate income above.
Right.
It just makes them match.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And then what was the second one that you said?
There was the donating or selling. So they could potentially sell the property, not just donate it. Is that the one you're asking about?
I was having trouble keeping up, to be honest with you.
That's okay.
The second part of amendment number 2, Delegate Polakovich-Carr's amendment, as the chair just mentioned, was at the bottom of page 3 in line 28. This would authorize the sale of a property to a non.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was the next one?
The next amendment would clarify that the factors at the top of page 3, these 5 conditions here are in fact minimum conditions that the property must meet to be deemed suitable for
You said
affordable
at
housing.
the top of page 3?
Yes, top of page 3, lines 1 through 10 of the bill, which I have on the screen right now.
Oh, those are minimum conditions.
Yeah, and I think in the bill as introduced, I think that was the intent. And so the change would be this new language here, Roman numeral 3, that states the department may consider other factors in addition to those provisions, but it makes it clear that that's a basal standard.
Okay. So is this the time to discuss, like, I'm not sure why it says may.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to me like they should consider other factors than that.
What other I mean, I think the idea.
But this is identifying what's suitable for the
Right.
use of affordable housing. I mean, like adequately sized for residential use, access to public utilities and ingress and egress, I don't think makes something a livable area. Like it could be in an industrial area and right next to a factory with 0 setbacks, or it could be, am I in the wrong place here for this?
No, you're in the right. No, you're in the right.
Okay.
Place.
I mean,
Yeah.
It seems to me like, it ought to be something that anyone else would consider a livable place. And so may consider other factors. I mean, these seem to be pretty minimal. These seem to be pretty minimal. And I would like us, if we're really considering putting affordable housing, my concern is that what I see locally is the attempt to put affordable housing. Like I remember we had one case where there were like 2 roads that divide, and there was like this tiny little place in the middle, and there was a fight about whether it was appropriate for housing, and we deemed it inappropriate for housing. And then they came back with affordable housing to go there. And they said, well, at least these people would have a home, but we'd already said it was unsafe for children and anyone else to live there. And we'd already said that in the zoning case. So like,
Was it zoned residential?
they were coming back to get it changed for zoning. It was a zoning case. So they were asking for a change in zoning to residential.
I see. Right.
And we'd already turned them down on a request to make a residential with a conversation that it was not suitable for residential because it wasn't safe.
Right. So let's play that out just to think it through. So in this scenario, the Department of Planning says, here's a piece of property. There's nothing else we can do with it. So it goes to DHCD, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, anything I say, and says to DHCD, here's this property, figure out if you want it, right? Figure out if this is something that is suitable. So DHCD would, go through these minimum requirements. Does it have access to public utilities, ingress, egress, adequately sized? doesn't belong in a category of property listed in this other procurement article, is located in an area designated as a priority funding area, which actually would be helpful perhaps for the committee to know what those areas are. And then, so that's the minimum that it could look. And then it would have to, you know, it could say, it could go to I don't know, I'll just, you know, Homes for Maryland, some nonprofit, right, that's doing affordable housing or rental housing works, and could potentially say, they could say, oh, you know, we would be interested, but this isn't zoned properly. So then before they could even get it, they would probably have to get the zoning changed because DHCD isn't gonna, or before they were actually able to buy it, you know, if they didn't know it could be zoned properly. So that would be up to the local government then. I mean, we could put something about zoning, or it is zoned properly. And so Homes for Maryland says we want to buy it, or, you know, we want it to be donated because the local government has already said that they don't want it. Is that, Matt, sort of like how you're seeing that's, did I misinterpret anything that is the process here?
So the process of determining suitability would involve a consultation with the units of state government that control the property. And again, as I understand it, the drafting behind the intent of the bill was meant to provide a certain degree of latitude to DHCD to determine what the factors would be,
right?
Yeah,
for suitability, but to ensure that at the very least it meets these 5 conditions.
Right. Delegate Stewart, did you want to add something to this? Sorry. No. Okay.
I have a separate issue.
Okay. Cool.
so can I?
Yep.
Sorry, so to be clear, I think this is a really good idea. I just want to make sure we have some more, and I can't think of them off the top of my head, but like just off the top of my head is like somewhere like you'd want anybody else to live. Like,
right. Yeah.
Obviously, which is obviously not good legislative language.
Right. So I think the question is, how do we do that in a way that doesn't foreclose good potential properties, right? So is it, and I think it's worth talking, perhaps you going to talk with Delegate Polakovich-Carr, who's done, you know, the work on this, and is it, you know, were there ideas that she had that she didn't do, and why? Like, is there a reason she didn't include, like, is zoned residential, right? Is there, you know, right?
Yeah,
so,
I've actually talked to her a lot, but I'm willing. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I've actually talked to her a lot, and I'm more than willing to talk to her more specifically about that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be worthwhile. And I mean, that's why I'm bringing it up for discussion today, because I think it is a good idea, and I want to make sure that we're able to think it through. Delegate Stewart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also think it's a great idea. I really like this bill. I have 2 questions, I think, for Matt, and there are 2 issues that I've talk to the bill sponsor on, and then I might pursue amendments on next week if the bill sponsor likes them. First is there a process where, I mean, I see obviously this process here on the reprint where a nonprofit could either, you know, buy or get the property. Is there a process where local public housing authorities could buy or get these, or are they just sort of left out?
Is that not there?
Well, I mean, I would just note that there isn't really a definition of buyer in the bill. I have it up on the screen right now. If the housing authority were to come in with a proposal and to buy the land, then that they may qualify under that.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I may pursue an amendment there just to make it clear that put them here in the process, because obviously if we're talking about government land, it kind of seems like we would certainly, if not like a right of first refusal, we'd certainly want these sort of other governmental entities that may want to use this to use it before we look elsewhere, at least the same time as we look at other buyers. I'm not necessarily sure I want to give priority to public housing authorities or not, but at least to be put on the same footing.
Yeah, not to interrupt, but if the public housing authority were a government entity, they may already have a preferred position before this to purchase the land if they're looking to utilize it for any purpose, really.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't. So that's like somewhere else in the code.
Let me scroll down for a second. Sure, that's distracting, but there are determinations that are made early on, and I can confirm this, of course, before the next meeting. But
yeah, we can talk more about it. Okay, cool. Yeah, we
of
can.
whether any local government or unit of the state government is interested in the property.
Okay, cool.
And
All right.
part
Well,
of the amendment, sorry, I don't mean to keep interrupting, but part of the amendment from the sponsor is anything that's not been disposed of under subsection B to maintain that priority would then be reported to DHCD for this determination.
Okay, cool. Well, I can call you too, Matt, and we can work on that, but that sounds like maybe this is already taken care of. And then the other point that I talked to I'll talk with the sponsor about is the bill doesn't set any priorities, right? For certain buyers, it's just basically whoever has the highest, what if there are multiple bids? It's basically just like the highest offer. DHCD would just kind of decide who to take or what?
Well, so as I read the bill, there'd be a development of a proposal with DHCD, the unit of state government that has the surplus land, and the Department of Planning on how to dispose of the property. So,
yeah, if there are multiple people interested, then they'll just kind of have to figure it out amongst themselves.
Yeah, I think the bill is probably silent on the specifics of the actual disposition, but it would be a decision between those three units.
Okay, and
sorry, Jen, can I follow up on that one?
Sure.
Or were you asking different? It's the same.
I just have one related point. Last thing is just I'm possibly interested in pursuing an amendment after talking with the bill sponsor to maybe if in scenarios where there are multiple interested like nonprofits to maybe give priority to the ones who want to make sure the property is affordable for a longer period of time. If there are two competing bids and one is going to have the property be affordable for 10 years and one's going to have the property be available for 40 years, I want that to be part of the calculus. Explicitly, the DHCD should consider, even if, for example, the 10-year affordability bid is higher in price. Right. Yeah. So that's it.
That's good. I think that makes sense. Jen?
I love that idea. Just for whatever that's worth. I don't have to, but I love that. But B, I just want to make sure that not only, like, I'm a little concerned about that issue to begin with. Like, are there requirements on these? Like, are there requirements somewhere else in procurement or sales or whatever code? I don't know where it would be, but are there requirements elsewhere in law that would require them to take the highest bidder other than where we've carved in this little specific exemption? Because I just want to make sure that
there's already a process for disposition of state property, and perhaps it would be helpful if we sent that around.
Yeah, and does that involve high bidder?
I think it depends on the use and the.
Okay, yeah, it would be helpful to see that.
The answer is it depends.
And then my other question is, I don't know what the next amendment was, but I was ready to, I stopped us mid amendments and I don't know what the next one was.
Sure, we can keep going through.
I believe that was, right, so there was just a discussion of number 3. So amendment number 4 would require an evaluation of the properties to be continuous rather than established as lists. So since I'm here on page 6, under the current bill, it would seem to require that the Department of Planning submit a list of properties for determination on June 1, 2023 and each June 1 thereafter. And this might cause a delay in terms of the determination of the suitability of the property for affordable housing, and thus delay the transition or the disposition of the property as a whole. So the intent of the language would just be to ensure that this happens on a continuous basis. So as a property it is disposed of pursuant to this section of the bill, as soon as the property becomes available, it would be reported to DHCD that would begin the process of making its determination. And then the list that DHCD is required to create of designated properties under the bill, that's up on page 3. Or sorry, page 2. After receiving notice of the properties that DHCD is supposed to assess, it would have 60 days to make the determination as to whether or not it's suitable for redevelopment as affordable housing. And then that property would be added to a continuous list, an ongoing list of these properties that is available publicly, and which would serve as a source of information for anybody who's looking to develop affordable housing. So it's getting rid of these annual reporting dates and just having the process play out continuously.
Thank you.
Can I ask a dumb related question to that?
Of course.
Since I'm on a roll. How is that list, like, will that be listed by address? Or I know that sounds really stupid, but I've been trying to get, and I know Delegate Plakovich Carr was also trying to get a listing of all the current ones. And she got some listing, but it was like listed in a way that I'm sure developers and I'm sure some of our folks here would be well able to read, but it were very difficult to figure out where they were located or understand how to find them. And I just want to make sure that we're not only allowing the most sophisticated of developers, but also some of the folks who are, some of the affordable housing folks aren't at the very top of the sophisticated developers and have a very good ability to do this work, but might not. I don't know. I'm just wondering if it's going to be by address, or maybe that's just too much detail for this. Like address.
I mean, we can reach out. Perhaps, Matt, we could just email the Department of Planning and ask how they list properties that are available.
That's all I need. Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Yeah. Delegate Love.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we know how many properties we're talking about? I was trying to skim through the fiscal note and other things. I'm just curious if we have a sense of how many properties are at issue.
That's a good question. Delegate Strauss and I were talking about that this morning, and it was something that I also thought we needed to reach out to the Department of Planning. I don't have a sense of that. I don't know. So, I think when we reach out to the Department of Planning, that's something we'll ask as well. We can ask number of property. Like, it would be helpful, I think, to know over the last, 3 years or something, how many properties have they tried to dispose of, perhaps, or declared surplus, and how they list them would also be helpful. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Great. So I'm going to close discussion on this for now. We're going to bring it back next week. So between now and next week, if you could work with Matt and work with the sponsor and me to talk through amendments or ideas, that would be helpful. Great. So we're going to move on to HB 1059. This is a local bill, a local ethics bill. So I tried to give some of our Prince George's County and Montgomery County folks a heads up that it was going to be on the voting list today. I don't have any concerns with it, and wanted to just, if Montgomery County or Prince George's folks have any thoughts, let us know. Otherwise, I think it's ready to go.
Move the bill, Madam Chair.
Second.
All those in favor of HB 1059, please signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Dia, Jennifer, thanks for joining us. Look at that. Awesome. Great. Well, I appreciate it. And I'll see you all in 35 minutes. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.